Xbox held its showcase. I think it's fair to say that it delivered. Gaming season is officially here. Summer Game Fest has happened. Xbox Showcase, I think, is taking the limelight as it is right now because the company, they did a wonderful event. I tried to count it all up. It's like more than 20, might even be close to 30 events or announcements or games or trailers and all sorts of good stuff. And I think they really just kind of hit it. What gamers want. It was just game, back to back to back. Very little inner commentary, very little things other than just games. And so the one thing that they did announce that was other than games, which is grabbing the headlines, is that the company actually announced not one, but two new flavors of Xbox console. Now, we kind of knew these were coming, at least one of them, but let's dive into the details because there's a lot to talk about here. So first up, we have the all, in quotes, the all new, because and literally in figurative terms, like it's got that new Stardust style Galaxy, I think as they were calling this, Xbox Series X in Galaxy Black. And then you can also see the green accents on the bottom and on the controller that will be included. The back will be green as well. Now, this is going to be coming with a 2 terabyte drive, or 2 terabytes of storage, and will also be the new version, and I should say the only version that has a disk drive. Now, with the increased in storage and the disk drive, this is going to set you back a very eye-popping $599. But if you want all the storage and you want all the options, this is the new king of the Xbox tier when it comes to that sort of thing. So be on the lookout for that arriving here in the holiday seasons. Next up is the version that we kind of knew was going to be coming here, right? This is the all digital version and Microsoft's favorite white, as they call it, robot white. And this will also be coming this holiday season. And now this one does not have a disk drive. I am curious, and actually I somewhat doubt actually the dimensions. I don't think Microsoft actually shared how tall this thing is. I'm wondering if it's shorter, right? It technically doesn't need that disk drive. And I wonder if it's shorter than the other ones, but I suspect that it might just be the same case because, hey, why try to create multiple different models and make the assembly line process more complex. But this version, no disk drive, 1 terabyte of storage for $49. So that is a roughly $50 drop over, not roughly, that's exactly $50 drop over the $499 price point we had been seeing for the Xbox Series X, the previous one. So now they're kind of flanking that pricing with a slightly cheaper option. And then, of course, the top dog, the Galaxy version, which will set you back $600, which is not easy to say, which brings in the lineup to this. Now, this lineup has actually changed a little bit. I could have really clickbaited it out and said there's 3 new versions of Xbox shipping because technically that is true. So there's a new, and I use again in quotes, version of the Xbox Series S. You might remember they had a limited sort of edition carbon black version of the Xbox Series S that had a 1 terabyte drive. Remember the original Xbox Series S shipped with 500 gigs, and we all know, like, we can all wince our eyes, like that is just not enough storage for games these days. Especially you get like 1 Call of Duty and like 1 Starfield and then you're tapped, my friends. So the new Xbox Series S in robot white, not carbon black, retains that same 1 terabyte drive, and it will be $349. So at least the pricing is not jumping like anything else, or I should say everything else on planet Earth. So you've got these 3 consoles, which will be Microsoft's holiday lineup from a hardware perspective. We still expect that there's going to be a PlayStation 5, but it's very clearly and very obvious that as of right now, Microsoft does not plan to release a pro version of their console. So we'll see how that plays out. I've talked about it multiple times here that Microsoft likely has the data that suggests that a pro version is only going to sell to people who are already in the ecosystem, and that doesn't really align or jive with their idea and concept of trying to expand the Game Pass subscriptions. So there you go. Now, on to the video games that are being announced. There were a ton, and I tried to put together a quick list of what is actually going to be arriving in 2024. So let's just jump right into that, shall we? So Avowed is still coming in 2024. Now, we don't have a release date, which to me kind of pushed things like pushing it towards the end. Of course, Microsoft might be trying to hold that back for, I don't know, like another media/marketing event, like saying, hey, now Avowed, we'd have this specific ship date. But to me, that means more towards the end of 2024, right in the middle of that holiday shopping season. We'll obviously get more information about that, but no specific dates on that one yet. I think it looks fantastic. This is sort of that fantasy adventure world that people of this genre, like myself included, like to play through. And so again, until you get to play it, it looks fantastic, but again, we don't know until you get your hands on it. Redfall looked fantastic too, and then we all know how that kind of played out. Not to dump on anything, and I don't even want to cross-pollinate those sort of thoughts at the end of the day. There are a bunch of games too that I will not be able to get through. So the other big one, which is a huge deal, is the Call of Duty Black Ops 6. We got our first real look at it. Will be coming on October 25th. Microsoft did an event after it, and it was a deeper-ish dive. And I say ish because they say, hey, look, there's going to be multiplayer is going to be coming at a separate time, a different event where they're going to detail more. Warzone, there's going to be another event, I think, dedicated to that as well. And as a big Warzone player, that's sort of something I'll have to wait for. And so, this coming to Game Pass on day one is a super massive deal. I continue to wonder, though, out loud in the back of my head, remember how when Starfield launched, if you actually bought like a higher tier, not the entry level base game, you got to play early? I am super curious if they are going to be able to do that, or if they're going to be able to, if they are going to do that. I mean, of all the titles in the Microsoft portfolio, World of Warcraft could get away with it as well. But Call of Duty is the one where they could be like, look, for an extra $10, you can play a few days early, because again, it's day one of availability, and we all know that sometimes things ship in different dates and times and everything else. But either way, all expansion passes, all content is coming to Xbox for the first time. Previously, that was a PlayStation sort of lockdown item, which is great news for Call of Duty fans, at least on the Xbox side. But this will be a huge release coming in October, and Microsoft is clearly not going to put anything too close to it, right? They want this to take all the limelight. It is a $1 billion plus franchise release, and just keep in mind that that is going to be coming. We're also going to get Flintlock. I believe there's Stalker 2, Hearts of Chernobyl, Flight Sim 2024, that has a Monument Valley. I love Monument Valley. I've been there, and so that will be coming. One thing to note that was picked up, and I actually missed this, and it was pointed out by the commenters to me, is that, hey, some of like the shattered space for Starfield as an example, and I think there's another one for Diablo is going to be coming as well. They weren't listed as being part of Game Pass, which makes me wonder, like, are they truly not going to be part of Game Pass? I mean, that's kind of the reality, right? And so those sorts of things might be other ways that Microsoft tries to monetize things other than the game, or with that season pass or down DLC style content, and like maybe that's the future. And so that is, I point that out because that is a tactic that they can use to continue to elevate how much money Xbox makes without sacrificing everything being inside of Game Pass. So that is another big deal. And then probably, I put this up with Avowed, but at least from a brand perspective, Indiana Jones coming in 2024 is still the plan. And it looks fantastic, and it's a cinematic style experience based on what we have heard so far. Obviously, nobody has played it, and we don't have any early impressions yet. However, it is coming in 2024, which means they have some big titles. You could really just lock it down to Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Avowed, and Indiana Jones. And I'm not trying to downplay like Flight Sim, Flintlock, or any of these other things coming to Game Pass, but those are like real big titles. Avowed, maybe you could argue, isn't there, but I'm real focused on that second half of 2024, that holiday shopping season, because that is such a pivotal time for Xbox and Game Pass growth between Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and like even my parents know what Indiana Jones is. So having that in the catalog per se is such a brand value elevating experience for Game Pass in itself. So, I'm still digging through every single thing that was announced, because I think Xbox did a fantastic job at the end of the day, bringing all these different titles, as long as they hit their dates with things like, specifically, I should say, Avowed and Indiana Jones. I think Call of Duty is such a content machine at this point that hitting that October 25th date isn't really an issue. It's like, let's make sure that the other titles that, don't ship on an annualized basis, make sure they hit their mark. And if they do, when you pair all that up with all the different hardware, Xbox is really loading up that second half of the season, as they like to do. And so, generally speaking, I think the event today was very well done. I think Xbox put together, and let's be clear, they spent $70 billion on Activision, tens of billions of dollars on other studios. They have a lot of content in their portfolio. If it was anything less than stellar, I think it would be a huge disappointment. But it look, from the path that we have seen laid out between the hardware and the games and everything else, it looks like Xbox is going to have a strong second half of the year. Hopefully it materializes in a way that Microsoft hopes with all these different console sales. And there you go. I'm going to keep digging in to see the other things we missed. Let me know what games you're excited about, right? Microsoft and Xbox and all their partners revealed a ton. Let me know what you're excited about down in the comments. And as always, make sure to keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.